Welcome to the Series 2009 Agency Order Processing for Shipping Option Number 3 training class. Shipping Option 3 refers to warehouse shipments, and the warehouse shipment option allows for more advanced warehousing functions than inventory picks. It allows for the creation of a single warehouse shipment for multiple agency orders. The warehouse shipment is a single-step posting of the shipment, and it does not provide for staging. This model would most likely be used by food banks that require the following. 1. A separate pick document. 2. Advanced bin slotting methodologies. 3. Ability to consolidate multiple orders into one pick document. And 4. Single-step posting of the shipment, no staging. It is possible to set up zones within a location to be excluded from inventory picks by checking the field Exclude from Pick on the zone. And for those zones, the zone code and bin code must be entered on the agency order line, and those lines must be posted via the agency order, which is considered shipping option 1. So it's possible to have some lines of the order that are handled via the shipping option 3, which is the warehouse shipment, and some lines of the order that are just posted directly from the order itself. But some additional setup must be required for that. The creating of warehouse shipments can be accessed either from the agency order itself or from the warehouse menu, and we'll refer to that when we go through the processing steps. So today's class again is about agency order processing and using the shipping option 3 for warehouse shipments. Agency orders are used to process orders from agencies for product. An agency order in Ceres allows you to create the initial order, ship product, and finish by posting an invoice. Agency orders can be entered manually or through the optional Agency Express web ordering system. The agency order can be accessed from departments, then agencies and receivables, order processing, and agency orders. If using batch selection or using batches for processing orders, you will get a batch selection window first before you get to the actual list of agency orders. If you're not using batches, then the system will take you directly to your list of open agency orders. Once you get to the list of orders, you'll see all the in-progress orders, and of course to create a new agency order, you will click on the new icon in the action pane at the top to start that order. Or of course you can go to Actions, Functions, or actually, sorry, Actions New, but we already have it on our action pane, so we'll go ahead and select New. Excuse me, if you're returning to an existing order, you would just locate the order in the list of agency orders and then select it and choose to edit the order. To start the new order, we can click in the agency number field and type in the agency number, or you can use the assist button to find that agency. And of course, once you type it in, you can confirm that it's the correct agency from the assist button showing you who you've selected. In this particular case, the agency has an overdue balance. We've set it up that we want to be reminded if they have an overdue balance. And because as this particular user that I'm logged in as, I have the rights to override the overdue balance warning, I get the option to choose yes or no to override. If you're a user that does not have the ability to override the overdue balance or the credit limit warning, then you will have to have somebody else process the order if they are allowed to go ahead and place an order when their balance has not been paid. For the purposes of today's class, I'm going to say yes to override the overdue balance warning so that I may continue. It fills in all the other information about the agency. The posting date will default to the current date, as will the shipment date. If the shipment date and posting date are going to be in the future, then you can, of course, change the date to the new date. And I always want to make my posting date match my shipment date, unless, of course, I'm invoicing and the invoice does not occur at the same time as the shipment. And when that happens, I would come back and change the posting date to the date that I'm actually invoicing the agency. The main general tab here, we'll go ahead and fill this in. As I mentioned, I've updated the shipment date and posting date. If you're using user IDs for assignment, you can select the appropriate user ID. The appointment time I'm not filling in because I don't actually have a calendar set up for the month of September in this database. But if you have a calendar set up and you're using appointments, you would want to go ahead and fill in that information. If shopper information is required for the orders that are entered manually, or if this was an order that came in through Agency Express, it will populate automatically with the shopper. But if it's a manual order, then you can select the shopper. And because this is a manual order, the order modifications field and the order version are both grayed out and blank. These two fields only are related to the Agency Express ordering. So if it's in shopper only mode, then that means that the shopper still can make changes to the order that has been submitted on Agency Express. And the order version tells the system how many times the order has been submitted by the shopper. So if you allow excuse me, shoppers to make updates to their online orders, then this order version field will show each time that they've submitted a new version of that order. The status field will remain as open until we're ready to release the order for warehouse processing. And we'll do that by following a couple steps to make that updated, or one step to update it actually. The fund number came over from the agency card and it defaulted to fund 01. If you're using funds and you have the fund set up on the agency card, then it will default on the order header. I'm going to collapse the lines fast tab for a moment here so we can look at some of the other tabs. On the invoicing tab, we get information about the bill to, which is the agency information, and in some cases the address may be different for the bill to than it is for the sell to, which is what this tab is considered. If you have a project code defined on the agency, then it will flow through to the agency order header. If you do not have one default on the card, but the same project code is going to be used across this entire order, you can fill it in on the order header and it will flow to all of the lines when they are created. So we will just, we'll pick one just for the heck of it. The payment terms code, that comes from the agency card as well, and then the due date is determined based upon the payment terms and the posting date defined on the order. So if the posting date is updated on the order header, then this due date will also update based on the payment terms that are set up on the agency card. Go ahead and collapse the invoicing tab and we'll take a look at the shipping tab. This is the shipping information for the order. This will come from the agency card as well. If they have multiple shipping addresses, you can set them up with a ship to code or several ship to codes on the agency, and then you can select a different ship to code here. You'll notice this one has a secondary ship to, which is a different address entirely. So if we were to select this shipping code and hit tab or enter, it's going to update the information with the shipping code that we've just selected, but we don't actually want that one, so I'm going to delete it, and it takes us back to our original ship to. For the purposes of this particular training, I'm going to use a different location because that location has a different processing as the one that it was selected for this agency before. Excuse me. So you'll also see on here that the shipment method code has come over from the agency, and then the shipping date, which of course was on the general tab up here, shows on the shipping tab as well. And then the delivery web fast tab for the order. If this was a web order, it would show all the web information. The web order box would be checked. The web acceptance status would be filled in if it's been accepted already. If it's accepted by the system, we'll see the web acceptance user ID, and if not accepted by the system, then we'll see the user ID for the person who actually accepted the order. When it was accepted, the date and time, and then the web transmission status, and if it was validated and transmitted. Actually, I don't know why, but we have two web transmitted here on this form. Hopefully on your screen you only have one, but it's the same field. And then there's some other information here. We've got the shopper number. The name doesn't show here, but if we were to drill up on the shopper, and we can go look at the card and see, well, we can see that it's test shopper 1. And if we wanted to email the shopper, this would be set by default to email the shopper typically if it's Agency Express order. If you wanted to email the shopper a copy of your order, you can check this box and then use the function later to email them order confirmation or not pick ticket, but the order confirmation if you would like. So we'll go ahead and collapse the delivery web tab, and we'll go back to the line so we can begin entering the lines on the order. So in the type field, we're going to select item, and then we're going to begin entering our item numbers for this particular order. And based on the location that we have selected, we'll get the available quantity for that location. And it looks like, yep, there's my location code showing right there. And it shows us our available quantity of this item for that location. So I'll go ahead and put in the quantity that the agency is ordering. And then I'll move to the next line and put in my next item. Helps if I type it right. And you would continue entering items on the order as requested by the agency. If, of course, this was an Agency Express order, the system would do the work for you, and you wouldn't need to make any changes to the order until you put it into food bank only mode, which means you're ready to process it. And if there were items that had available quantity when the agency was online, ready to create their order, but maybe by the time they submitted the order, somebody else managed to get that available quantity. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often, but if it does, then once it's in food bank only mode, the user who's processing the order can come in and change the quantity on the order to the actual quantity that you have available. So if the available quantity turns out to be only 13 for this item by the time the order is processed in Ceres, then you would update the quantity here to 13 once it was in the food bank only mode. But since this is a manual order, we don't have to deal with that particular issue. Now you'll notice I've got some columns showing on my order that you may or may not have showing on yours. You do want to make sure that you show any dimensions that you have to populate. So in this case, we've got project code filled in, department code, project code. I thought I selected it on the header, but it did not flow to the lines. So I will go ahead and select the project code on the order line. And there we go, it took. I may have thought that I did, but I didn't actually do it. So we have the quantity that the agency's ordered for each of these items. And at this point in time, our order is for the 5th of September, which in this case is tomorrow, from the date that I'm doing this. I had already put into the system some orders with the same shipment date so that when we go to create warehouse shipments, we'll see how they all get combined for the same shipment date. But basically the idea is that you're going to create one shipment for all orders on a single shipment date. Perhaps maybe by shipment method code, maybe you do all the delivery ones on one, and maybe you do the pickup orders on another one. You know, it's going to depend on how you process them at your food bank. But the idea is that instead of having to create individual documents for each order, you can have one shipment document for all of the order lines in the system. So in addition to the item lines on the order, you may also have a delivery charge. If you do the delivery charge, and if you do delivery charges, and this was for a delivery order, and I can't remember right now if it was, so we'll take a quick peek here. Yes, this is for a delivery order because our shipment method code is deliver. If you have charges for delivery fees and somebody else is going to be posting the invoice, if they post directly from the shipment, then you want to make sure that you run calculate delivery charges before you actually release the order for the warehouse shipment document, because if you don't, then the calculate delivery fees portion would not occur because it's a manual process and it doesn't just happen when posting the order. So if that's the case, you want to make sure that you run that calculate delivery fees first. You'll also notice on this one line that we have a grant allocation amount, and that's because this particular item and this agency qualified for a grant, and so the system calculated the amount for this item, and they had enough on their grant in order to cover the entire line item, but there is no grant amount on this line, but that's because there's no charge for this particular item. So if you are using grants and you don't see a grant allocation amount on a line or lines that you expect to see it on, you can run the function to calculate grants. You can either put it in your actions pane at the top, or you can go to actions, functions, and then calculate grants, and it will run through the process. But typically it should happen automatically as long as the agency and or item are qualified for a grant and there is money available. So we are going to go ahead and run the calculate delivery charges, even though in the particular case that I'm doing here, we do not post the invoice from the warehouse shipment, but you may do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on calculate delivery charge, and you'll notice that it gives me a warning message to say that delivery zone must have a value. In order to calculate the delivery charge, it looks to a table where the delivery zone is defined and the charges associated with that delivery zone are defined. So because I don't have a delivery zone specified on the header, it won't calculate the charges. So it reminds me that I need to go update that. Typically that information will come from the agency, but if it doesn't exist on the agency card, then you will need to make sure it is on the header. So it's asking me for the delivery zone code, and then it will determine what fees are calculated. Now you're probably going to have something quite different than this, but I'm going to go ahead and select one of these, and oops, sorry, I do that all the time. That is the zone code, not the delivery zone. I wish I would catch that every single time I mess up on that one. So it's actually asking for the delivery zone code. So my bad. We will collapse the shipping tab and go to the delivery web tab. And this is what we want here, not the zone code, but the delivery zone. There we go. That's a little bit better. And we'll go ahead and choose other. And you would, of course, select the appropriate delivery zone. And then I will collapse the delivery web tab and open up the lines again. I'm going to go back up here to calculate delivery charge. And now it didn't give me that error message. Instead, it calculated my delivery charge of $25. And that was based on the delivery zone of other that we selected. And so it calculated the fee of $25. That way, if the order is invoiced directly from the shipment, that will already be taken care of, and you will get to, the agency will be charged their delivery fee. All right, so when we're ready to process the order, so ready for warehouse picking to occur, then we would want to make sure we release the order. And we can do that either from the order itself by changing the status to release by going up here and clicking on release. Or let me just double check and make sure that it is available here as well. Okay, yep, so there's also an option to batch release agency orders. So you can, if you have a bunch of orders that you want to release for the same shipment date, you can enter the shipment date and then enter preview. If you want to even narrow it down further by shipment method, so maybe you only want to do those that have a delivery shipment method, then you can select the shipment method here as well as the shipment date, and it will further restrict those orders that are released for warehouse processing. Because I only have one order that's open with that date, I'm just going to go ahead and hit preview, or if you want to print yours, you can print and wait for it to do its thing. And then once that's done, we're going to go back here and sort this by, or filter this by location. Location, where are you? Oh, I seem to have lost. Oh, no, it's right there. Just not looking closely. There we go, by location, because I want to see all of mine for this location. And yes, I noticed that in this database, for some reason, the batch release wasn't actually releasing the order, but I think that's just because I have we have some funky data in here. But in your case, if you're running batch release, you should be able to release all orders that have, the shipment date that you've specified. But in this case, I'm going to actually have to go into the order and release it directly. I don't know if I can release it from here, but I'll give it a shot. Oh, looks like maybe I can. All right. So now it shows as released, and let's go back here so we get back to the batch list here so we can see it a little bit better. All right, and there we go. So now we have 4 orders with a shipment date of 9/5. A couple of them haven't been updated for the posting date, but we'll deal with that later because we're not going to actually invoice them directly from the shipment. But the idea is here that when we create the warehouse shipment, we will get one shipping document for all 4 of these orders that have the same shipment date. And there are 2 places where you can create the warehouse shipment. One is from the agency order itself, and one is from the warehousing menu. But before we do that, I'm going to actually go in and update these orders to have the same posting date as the shipment date. And I'm also going to, and this will depend, of course, on your processing steps, but I'm going to print a pick ticket from here. Let's go ahead and change that to September 5th on there. And if I want to print a pick ticket, so it may be different. There may be just one document that's printed from the warehouse shipment, or you can print a pick ticket that will look something like the print ticket here, or the pick ticket here, which shows the items that are ordered, the description where they're located, how many have been ordered, and then the unit of measure, and then there's a place for the person to write in how much was picked for the order. You can do it that way, or you can do it from the warehouse shipment, totally up to how you guys want to process it. I'm going to close this one here, and then I'm going to update the next 2 real quick so that our posting date matches our shipment date. Bear with me for just a second. Okay, so now we've updated the shipment date to match the posting date, or updated the posting date to match the shipment date on all 4 of those orders. And as I mentioned before, you can create the warehouse shipment directly from the order, but that defeats the purpose of having all 4 orders on one warehouse shipment. If you're doing it from the order, then you can go to either the actions pane if you have the menu option added to your action pane, and choose create. Let's see, I don't think we have it on here. No, we do not. So you could add an action for create warehouse shipment, and you can put that on the action pane, or you can do it from the actions functions create warehouse shipment, and you can do that on a 1-by-1 basis for each order. Or you can go to the warehouse menu, and let's grab warehouse here, and planning execution, and then we choose warehouse shipments, and it brings up a list of open warehouse shipments. And from here we can create a new warehouse shipment by going to our action pane and clicking on new. And we'll select the location code that we're creating it for, which in this case is 13, but you would select your appropriate location. And then once I've got this created, my posting date may be today, it depends, but most likely it's probably not going to be until tomorrow because that's the shipment date on the orders. But I'm going to go ahead and create my document with the assumption that it's for tomorrow. If you're using assigned user ID, go ahead and select that. The system will populate the assignment date and assignment time. And then I can either manually enter the source documents, or I can go to Get Source Documents, and I'm going to change my sort so that it is in descending order by, let's see, do we have it? Let's get it by shipment date. There we go. And then we'll get it by sort descending so that our newest ones are at the top. And then I can select the documents that I want to put on this warehouse shipment. I can only do one at a time, so I will click OK. And we'll see that it populated with the information from one of my orders. And then I can repeat the process. Unfortunately, my sorting didn't stay. So I have to resort that. And then we'll select the next one. And the third one. And then finally the last one. Okay, so I've added all of the source documents to my warehouse shipment, and as you can see, it pulls in the quantity from the orders and the quantity to ship, but not the quantity shipped, because that's going to be determined by what we actually find in when we actually pick the product. So let's go here to print, and it's going to print the warehouse shipment. And it's going to, of course, show me, well, hopefully when you print from yours, it will show the entire source number. So it's going to show me the item, the description, where it's being picked from, the bin, the quantity, and all that good stuff on the warehouse shipment document. And you, like I said before, you might print out the pick documents from the orders themselves so that they know what to pick from. All depends on how you plan on handling that. Each food bank is slightly different. Let's make sure I don't want to skip anything here. Let's see. That's that. Okay. Got a lot of pages here I got to go through and make sure we didn't miss anything. All right, so yeah, okay, we're good. So as I mentioned before, the warehouse shipment will automatically default the quantity to ship to the requested quantity on the agency order. The pallet number, if it's a palletized item, the lot number, and the bin will be assigned by the system using the defined warehouse picking logic. And if there are other pallets and picking bins available to choose from, you may override the suggested pallet and choose another one, but in most cases it's unnecessary to override the suggested pallet number. However, you may change the quantity to ship as necessary. If it's found during picking that you don't have the full quantity to ship, you can update the quantity to ship here, and that will be dependent on what you find when picking the product. So if there's somebody in the warehouse who's out there looking for all these items and they realize that we have enough to fulfill all of these lines here, but of the crackers and cheese, but maybe on this order or this line we can only fulfill 13 of them, then they would update this line to quantity to ship 13. And let's scroll over here. So now the key is that if you're not going to be ever shipping the full 15, then you want to make sure that the order gets updated with that 13 as well, because it's likely that if you don't have it now, they're not going to get the 2 later unless it's on another order, and we don't want to leave it hanging out there. So we've updated the quantity to ship on this line, but everything else is going to remain the same. And when we are ready to, you know what? I just realized something. Oh, no, I did. I released it. I was like, should I not release the order? But of course I did, because you cannot create a warehouse shipment for an order that's not released. So, but there is a release option here on the shipment as well. So when you're ready to release the shipment document, you can click on release here. And then when you're ready to post the shipment, so if we make sure that everything is good to go, we've got our posting date set for the actual shipment date, and we're ready to post it. We've updated all the lines. Then we can go ahead and post the shipment. And I have an action for post shipment up here. You notice the two options are ship or ship and invoice. So if you are invoicing directly from the shipment, then you can select the ship and invoice option. But we are going to, in this example, just going to use the ship. And we'll click OK. So this will leave the orders open for invoicing in the agency order list, and we'll return to those momentarily. So it tells you that number of source documents posted 4 out of a total of 4, and the ship lines have been posted. So that warehouse shipment is gone now. If we return to agency order processing and go to agency orders and go back to our batch that we were in, we will see that we still have our orders here because they didn't post because we didn't choose ship and invoice. We only chose to ship. But if we go look at the individual order now, we'll see that the quantity for the order lines have been shipped, and all that's remaining now is to invoice. So let's see, are we on? Okay, so on this one, notice that it says our quantity to ship is 2 because this is the order that we changed the quantity from 15 to 13. So it tells us that the quantity shipped was 13 and our quantity to invoice is 15, but we're never going to be shipping and invoicing the remaining 2. So in order to update our order, we'll have to reopen it, and then we'll change our quantity to 13 so it matches the quantity shipped. And now our quantity to ship changes to 0, and our quantity shipped shows as 13, and our quantity to invoice will show as 13. And of course, because we've got the delivery charges left to invoice, now when we go to post the document, and even if we choose receive an invoice versus just invoice, it will only, ship an invoice, it will only do the GL line for the delivery fees and invoice the balance for these 2 items. Well, in this case, there was no charge on either of these, so the only fee that they'll get charged is a $25 delivery fee. So now before we post, you want to make sure that if it's not the same day, so in this case our shipment date on here shows us the 4th, but it was actually, am I looking at the right order? I think I am. Should be the 5th. But if our posting date for the invoice is in the future, so maybe we don't invoice on the same day that it's shipped, then we would want to make sure we change the posting date to the accurate date. Now, that's because I moved off the line, so I got that message. So let me re-release this because we're ready to invoice it. And we can go to post or post and print, depending on whether you want to get a copy of it. If you want to send an order confirmation, you can print the order confirmation, and you can bring it up on screen. You can email it. You can do whatever you decide you want to do. You can print it to a PDF file and email that, or you can, I think, let me see if we can do it from preview. I can't remember. No, I don't think we can from preview option here. Let's see if we go here. Oh. So we would have to save it as a PDF file, and then we could email it. Or we could, just click on the email tab here and then add that document to it once we've created it. But we're going to go ahead and post, and we'll select the post option. The default is ship and invoice. Since we fully shipped the order, other than, of course, our delivery charge, we'll go ahead and select that. And it will process through the order. And that order will now be gone. And I think what happened before is that you'll notice my shipment date on all of those got updated to the 4th. So I must have left it as the 4th on the document, the warehouse shipment document. I had changed it to the 5th, but I think when I made a change to it, it reverted back to the current shipment date, and I didn't catch it. So we do want to make sure that our shipment date is correct before posting it. So now our order shows the shipment date as having been 9/4. And since that's the case, we'll pretend that I updated the other one for my posting date to be 9/4, but I didn't. I had 9/5. So I'm going to post all of these. Now, this one doesn't have the delivery charges calculated yet, and I'm not certain, but we'll check to see if this one has delivery as the shipment method, and it does. So I want to make sure that there is a delivery zone code defined, because if not, we'll get that error message. And there is, so we should be able to calculate the delivery fees. Excuse me. Come on. It's being a little slow today, procrastinating. So we'll calculate the delivery charge. And now we've got that ready to go, so we can post this order because it's been fully shipped, other than the delivery charge. There were no problems with any of the lines on the order, so everything was shipped. So we can go ahead and post that. And now we have 2 left for that shipment date. And we'll go through each one. And there may be different people that do each of these steps, so that's why it's good to know, to make sure you've checked everything. So in this case, our shipment date was set for the 4th, so my posting date is also going to be the 4th. We don't have any delivery charges calculated, and we'll take a look and see if there are delivery charges for this order. I kind of have a feeling that there was for each one of these, but nope, this one's pickup, so there won't be any delivery charges, unless, of course, you know, they did actually get it delivered, in which case you need to update the order, and then you can calculate the charges. But since there are no delivery charges for this order, we can go ahead and post it. And it's going to give me this message even though I don't have a delivery shipment method. It's just kind of a reminder, so I'll say yes to continue with posting. And then we have just one final order left to post. And we'll go ahead and update that one to match. We'll check to see if there is a delivery charge on here. And there's no shipment method code defined on this one, so if they are supposed to be delivered, you want to make sure and update it by selecting the appropriate shipment method code. And then we'll also, and you'll notice I got a warning message, and that's because I tried to update it and the status was not equal to open. So at this point in time, I'd have to reopen it if I really did need to add the shipment method code. But for the purposes of this training, we'll just skip that. And actually, it's not going to let me just skip it since I tried to add it. So I'll just have to hit escape, and then it's going to ask me if I want to discard changes. I'll say yes, and then I can go back in. Be a little more patient. And I'm not going to be adding a shipment method code because the order's released and they don't get a shipment charge or delivery charge anyway, so we will just go ahead and post this one. And there's the reminder again. We say yes, and now all of our orders for the shipment date of 9/4 in this case, 9/5, are gone, and we have processed all the orders successfully. And that basically is how the warehouse shipment or shipping option 3 processing occurs. And I hope you learned something, and we hope you'll join us for another class in the future. Thank you.